up, my friends? U.S. Army veteran Christopher Chaos, and today we're talking about, sounds like maybe some more changes to the ACFT, or not really changes, maybe more like it's gonna go back to kind of how they sort of had it in a way. Let's talk about it. So if you're not aware, the Army has been, updating their physical fitness standards, their physical fitness tests, the ACFT, and it's now in the beta phase, and changes have been coming left and right here and there to make things, easier to test it, to see what works, what doesn't work, to try to make it fair, but also something that's going to test our soldiers to make sure they're fit to serve in the Army. The latest things is simply just the mention that it might go back to the MOS specific scoring, which personally I think that's a good move. They had this way of doing it before when they first initially released it that said that, based on your MOS, you have this, these three different tiers. So if you're in this type of unit or this type of MOS, then you have this as a minimum standard. And then if you are in a more physical type of demanding type of MOS or unit, then it goes up a little bit more. So there talks of maybe going back to that, because this new version they're kind of beta testing kind of got rid of that. It basically had it to where it was just one set standard for the entire Army, regardless of what your MOS was. So the Secretary of the Army is mentioning that they are considering going back to it. They haven't said yet if they are going to do it, if they're not going to do it, whatever, is really just really vague, and pretty much just said that they're considering it. And he kind of understands that we want our, let's say, I think the example he uses was our Rangers to be at a higher physical kind of, evaluation type of standards compared to like a neurosurgeon. Did I even say that right? Neural surgeon, whatever, right? You get my idea, right? Someone who's maybe in an admin type of position, someone who's like a surgeon, someone who's in more of a medical type of field, those people probably don't need to be at the same kind of standards as like a special forces soldier or a ranger or even just an infantryman. This personally, I think, is something that I agree with. I think that that is a good thing to do. You should not hold like an admin clerk individual to the same standards as someone who's in the Rangers, someone who's a infantryman who's going to be, having to carry a big rucksack. You need to still set a good minimum standard across the board for everybody, so that minimum lower kind of scoring, even if you're an admin person, needs to still be a good score that, makes sure that these people are fit and in good shape. And if they come into a situation that they're on convoy and they get ambushed, that they can still hold their own. I know some people will kind of tweak this and be like, oh, no, we're going to have a bunch of fat bodies and lazy people that are in these admin positions. No, that's not what I'm saying. And I'm sure that's not what the Army is going to do either. I think is what they should do, is what they probably will do, is just make it to where it's a normal kind of standard to make sure you're in good physical shape. And that's the minimum, even if you're in an admin position. From there, based on whatever the job is, if you are in a type of job that you have to lift things, you have in a job you're gonna have to do a lot of, cardio type of things like road marches or, MPs, we're gonna have to possibly chase down a criminal or whatever, then those ones should have a higher standard where you have to go up from there. So the goal is not to be like, the infantry guys need to have really high, and then these admin clerks need to have really low to where all they have to do is, 2 push-ups and, run 2 miles in 5 hours. No, that's not what they're trying to kind of get out of it. There's probably going to be a thing where maybe the current standard that they have right now that they're kind of doing across the board, maybe that becomes like the minimum standard. Maybe it drops a little bit. I don't know if they're going to, drop it or keep it the same or even increase it, but maybe what they currently have is the minimum for everybody, for whether if you're an admin clerk type of person or you're a cook or whatever, then that's the minimum standard. And then if you're someone who's in a more physically demanding one, then it gets a little bit harder and it's a little bit higher up for your minimum standards. Definitely keep the gender and age neutral thing, because I think that is a good part of it, where it doesn't matter if you're a male or female. If you're going to be doing something like infantry, special forces, rangers, whatever, it shouldn't matter if you're a male or female. You should be able to meet the requirements for the job. If you can't meet the requirements of the job, there's plenty of other jobs, right? I don't feel like they need to, change the standards for either male or female for the job. It should be the same standards as the standards for the job. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female, 18 or 40, this is the minimum standard. So that part I like. I think they're still gonna keep that, which is good. But yes, I think that definitely going back to the whole based on your job, based on your MOS would be a good move. So we'll kind of see how this kind of plays out. I think he even said in his kind of statement that no real final decision will be made until probably the end of this year, so the end of 2021, as this is the physical fitness test is supposed to take effect now, I guess, in March of 2022. Originally, it was in October of 2020, wasn't it, or 2019? But now, it's been pushed because of different controversies and different things. So 2022 of March is when it goes into effect. But they're saying that they're still doing this evaluation process, is still kind of beta phase, and making sure everything gets hashed out, everything gets lined up properly, and maybe some decisions will be made towards the end of this year to kind of get a little bit of heads up before it does become effective and become the physical fitness for record in March of 2022. If you're liking this type of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you want to see the video that I talked about, the changes to the ACFT and ACFT 3.0, I got that video available for you right here. If you want to see my latest video upload, right there, links are down in the description box for social media, the Discord channel, all that fun stuff. I'm Christopher Chaos. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time. See ya.